We have one item on the agenda this morning, and that is an executive session. And the executive session is for consultation with an attorney for the public body or agency which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, with possible action to follow an open session. 50-minute duration. Open session will take place in the public meeting room of the Pioneer Conference Center, Pioneer Conference Room. I need a motion to approve that executive session.
So moved, Chris Wong.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, we'll go ahead and move into the executive session, and I know you on line will be moved in automatically, so we will see you there. Our regular special meeting, and no action to be taken after the executive session this morning, so I would ask for a motion to adjourn the special session.
So moved, Criswell.
Second, Brown.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. So we are adjourned on the special meeting. And let's take just a couple of minutes, and if anybody needs to take a quick break, and then we'll get our regular meeting started.
And Ray, we can't see you right now on Zoom, so, or I can't.
Are you seeing any of us, Pat?
There, you just came on.
Okay,
Okay.
very good.
What do I need to do?
Are you wanting to see the, you have that printed out?
Yeah.
Board of Trustees regular meeting to order, October 19, 2021. Pledge of Allegiance will be led this morning by Vice Chair Evelyn Criswell.
Of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll go ahead and lead the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
The United States of America,
to the republic for which it
which
stands,
it's
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry about that. Looks like we had some technical difficulty on that one.
We did.
Yeah, I apologize.
Yeah, I'm sorry
Yeah.
about that, but thank you for doing it. Mission statement for the Kansas City, Kansas Community College: to inspire individuals and enrich our community one student at a time. And ask for roll call.
Trustee Ash,
Here?
Trustee Bruni,
Here?
Trustee Brown,
Here,
Vice Chair Criswell,
Here.
Chair Daniels,
Here.
Trustee Hoskins Sutton, Trustee McIntyre.
here.
Thank you. Ask for approval of the agenda as sent out.
So move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Opposed, nay. At this time, we have an opportunity for an audience to patrons and petitioners. If there is anyone either in the audience or online who would like to address the board, you can raise your hand in the chat room, or you can approach the podium and be introduced. Is there anyone this morning, either online or in person, who would like to address the board this morning?
No one online.
Hearing none, we'll move forward. Next item is recognitions and presentations, and we have a couple of things this morning. So the first one is, I think, Stephen Terry is, yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us today. I'd like to introduce Mr. Moyer. He's from the employer-supported Garden Reserve, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the organization, and then we have some special recognition for Dr. Mosier once he concludes his remarks. And so, Mr. Moyer, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you. Good morning.
Good
First of
morning.
all, it's an honor to be here and represent ESGR. ESGR stands for Employment Support for the Garden Reserve. ESGR plays two roles with militaries. The first role is they settle disputes between the employer and the service member, if there are any. We have about 6 ombudsmen throughout the state who work those cases. Right now, we have 0 cases in the state of Kansas, which is really significant. The next role is we recognize employers who go out of their way above and beyond to support the military service member and their families. And in doing so, we have a special awards that we give. They're nominated by the service member. This one is Captain Terry. And if I may just take a minute to read what he wrote and share with you what is happening in your college. I am nominating my employer, Dr. Greg Mosier, for the ESGR Patriot Award for going above and beyond to support my service to the Kansas Army National Guard and all the military veterans he supports. Dr. Mosier is the president of the Kansas City, Kansas Community College, where I work as Dean of Enrollment Management. For the last 15 months, I have been away from the college while on active duty orders with the Kansas National Guard. During that time, not only did Dr. Mosier reach out to me inquiring myself and my family were doing, but he worked tirelessly to pass a new military leave policy which included supplementing a pay difference between the deployed reservist National Guard service members and earn at the college what they earn while deployed so the families do not have to experience any financial hardship. This was paramount for me to focus on my military responsibilities and not worry about how my family is going to make ends meet at home. Additionally, Dr. Mosier has made my return to work seamless and has gone out of his way to make me feel welcome and part of the team. And he goes on to talk about the center, how Dr. Mosier cares deeply for the military, his supported funding for a new military and veterans center at the Kansas City, Kansas Community College campus, which we're able to get college funds to pay for and to hire a veteran to run the center. When a service member deploys, there is an awful lot on their minds. They have to worry about their job in the military, they have to worry about their family back home, they have to worry about their job when they come back. And the transition back into civilian life is very, very difficult. So, Dr. Mosier, thank you on behalf of ESGR. And I'd like to take a moment to present to you the Patriot Award. The Patriot Award recognizes members who go above and beyond. So at that time, if I could present this to you.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. I really appreciate your service and everything you're doing for veterans. Thank you. If I can just say something real quick, I just need the microphone for our people who are joining us virtually. First, I'm very touched by this award. It's very humbling because what I do in comparison to what our men and women in service do, no matter what service or branch or regular service or the guards, it's amazing. It's amazing what you do on an everyday basis, and we appreciate your service to our country. And it's because of all of you that allows us to do what we do here in the United States of America on a daily basis. So thank you for this award. It means a great deal. And thank you to all the active military and our veterans who are with us here today or overseas doing their work. So thank you very much, and thank you, Dr. Terry, for nominating me for this award. I appreciate it. Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer, for being with us today, and again, thank you, Dr. Terry, for the nomination. And congratulations, Dr. Mosier.
Thank you.
The next item under recognitions and presentations is the Employee Satisfaction Survey Report presented by Christina McGee.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to share my screen. Looks like I'm sharing. Hopefully you all can see that as well.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet.
Okay. Are you able to see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I will be presenting the 2021 Employee Satisfaction Survey results. We've talked about this in a couple, I think, of the board meetings, and now here's the opportunity to review some of the results. So we worked with Noel Levitz to administer the employee satisfaction survey. So we had a survey completed in 2018, and then one completed in April of this year. And so the Human Resources Department, as well as Institutional Effectiveness, coordinated the survey. The information that was provided was anonymous, but we received aggregate data from Noel Levitz. And so I'm happy to actually report that in 2018, we had 222 employees that participated in the survey, but this year in 2021, we had 360. So we had over 100% or 100 employees, more employees complete the survey. So we're happy to report that for this year. Next, the survey consists of 4 sections: campus culture and policies, institutional goals, involvement in planning and decision making, and then work environment. And those are on a 5-point scale. And so the survey measures importance, satisfaction, and then the gap between the two. So when we're looking at importance, it's how important is this that the expectation is met. And then satisfaction is, what is the reality of that? So how satisfied are employees with that expectation being met? And then the gap is the difference between the two. So our survey, our summary of the survey has been posted, and there is a link for it on the website. I believe that survey link was also shared with the board maybe earlier this month. But what I wanted to do is just take some time to really highlight some of the information in that report. And so if you look at the first, campus culture and policies, you'll see that we pulled out the top 3 items that have the highest gaps. So these are areas in which we really want to pay close attention to because they have a gap of over 1.54. And these are areas where there may need to be some more critical, a more critical look at these particular areas or statements. So those are, there are effective lines of communication between departments. There is good communication between staff and administration at this institution. And this institution consistently follows clear processes for orienting and training new employees. So there is a significant gap between these two, and so these are just some of the areas in which we really want to focus on as an institution. We also thought that it was important to include where we have our lowest gaps in the survey under campus culture and policy, because these are areas where really the information between importance and satisfaction is fairly aligned and where we are doing well. So in those areas, our staff take pride in their work, employees generally are supportive of our mission, and then the institution is doing a good job at meeting the needs of administrators. The next slide really just highlights the difference between 2018 and 2020 using those same top 3 and bottom 3 gaps. And so if you take a look at the top 3 gaps, you'll notice that there has been improvement in those areas. And actually, Noel Levitz identified that there's significant improvement in those areas. So we are doing something well. So we need to continue that momentum and continue what we're doing well so that we continue to see an increase in the next survey year. But if you take a look at those, all of those areas under the top 3 items for highest gap, you'll notice that there has been an increase based upon employee feedback. The same goes for the bottom 3. There was an increase in each category for the bottom 3 of the lowest gap. So that we're doing good work. And we are improving in those areas. The next area is the top 3 items where we had the highest difference between 2021 and 2018. And so these are some areas of focus that we'll want to have as well. So the institution has written procedures that are clearly defined. There is a significant gap between those. The institution consistently follows clear processes for orientating and training new employees, and then the institution is well respected in the community. So you can see again, there have certainly been changes in these areas, and we want to continue to make sure that we are enhancing in those areas as well, but identifying what is working well. Okay. So the next slide just kind of pulls out, so we have the top items, top 3 items where we had the highest gaps, and then the areas in which there were really not a significant change to the lowest of the satisfaction scores for campus culture and policies. But if you combine the information together and we look at where are our top items where we may have some room for improvement, and then our highest satisfaction scores, this next slide represents that. So our top 5 of the lowest satisfaction, and I would consider these to be areas in which we certainly want to work on as an institution. You'll notice that some of these are very similar to where we also have the highest gap for this year in the area between satisfaction and importance. So even though we've had some significant improvement and changes, these still are ranked lowest in terms of satisfaction. And so again, areas that we'll want to have a focus on, and those are effective lines of communication, whether it's between departments or administration, having clear processes for orientating and training new employees. Again, going back to our processes, just having consistent, clear processes for new employees, and then also the institution involving employees in planning for the future. But I think it's also important to note and highlight where we are doing well and what are our top 5 highest satisfaction items. And really it boils down to staff, faculty, and administrators all take pride in their work. The institution is also doing well at meeting the needs of administrators. And then also I think it's really important, and I'm glad this was seen in the top 5, is that the institution promotes excellent employee-student relationships. So that's all in the area of culture and policies. The next section of the survey is institutional goals. And so employees were asked to rank what are the most important institutional goals, and then rank them as your top 3. So what we identified here is that the top 3 goals are increase enrollment for new students, retain more of its current students to graduation, and then improve employee morale. So those are the areas that are highlighted in yellow for 2021. The areas that are highlighted in blue really show that there was a significant decrease, and I will also say one of the areas highlighted in yellow for improved employee morale, there was a significant decrease in those particular areas from 2018 to 2021. So for improved employee morale, and then also it's improved processes. I don't know the reason for the increase or the decrease in those areas, and so those are some things that we'll want to take a look at and just get more information on. But these are the results for the goals and how they were ranked. Noel Levitz did identify that there were, in terms of comparison to the national group norm, which was 60 other community colleges, they identified that we were actually significantly higher in terms of our institutional goals and rating them as important for increasing enrollment, new markets, employee morale, diversity, and campus building. So we were a little bit higher in ranking those compared to the national norm group. The next section is involvement in planning. Noel Levitz has identified that if an employee has ranked this as, or an institution or employee has ranked this as a 3, it's just about right. But employees were asked to rank where they believe involvement and communication occurs within different employee groups. And so from 2018 to 2022, the rankings are fairly the same, with the exception of, you'll notice that in 2018, individuals ranked the Board of Trustees as number 2 in terms of making decisions, and that has now changed to number 4. So that's one difference. But what you'll notice is the areas that are highlighted in that top graph, those are the faculty, alumni, staff, and students. They are under a ranking of 3, which means they don't feel that their involvement is just right collectively. So if we were to dive a little bit deeper and pulling out specifically how faculty and staff ranked, you'll notice that the areas that are highlighted in red, although there's a different ranking at the top for faculty, staff, and alumni, they're below 3. You'll notice that when you pull those individual responses out, faculty and staff feel that they are number 8 in terms of the ability, in terms of their involvement in decision making. They have ranked senior administrators and trustees, they rank them in the same order for faculty and staff. But we do want to get a
Christina, we lost you for a second. You may have tapped your space bar or something for a mute.
So similar to culture and policies, we pulled out the top 3 with the highest gaps. And you'll notice that those areas for 2021, or my department has the staff that needs to do its job well. It's easy for me to get information at this institution, and I am paid for the work that I do. So those are the areas in which we have the highest gaps between importance and satisfaction. We also wanted to take a look at the bottom 3 items for 2021 where we don't have a significant gap. So we look to these areas as areas where we're fairly aligned and doing okay. And those areas are the statements are, the type of work I do on most days is personally rewarding. I feel respected from my colleagues, and my supervisors treat me with dignity and respect. And I think that's really important to note, because it's important that individuals feel treated with respect from their colleagues and supervisors. That's really how we retain our employees, one of the ways that we retain our employees. So, and then the next is the top 3 items with the highest difference, which we'll take a closer look at in the next slide. So again, we wanted to compare 2018 to 2021. So the first area on the top 3 items with the highest gap, my department has the staff needed to do its job well. You'll notice that from 2018 to 2021, there was a decrease. But in the other areas, it's easy for me to get information at this institution, or I am paid fairly for the work that I do. There was an increase, and actually a significant increase from 2018 to 2021. So that's, yes.
The document, the sharing.
We're back on your video feed now.
Okay, it still shows I'm sharing. Try it again.
Yeah.
Do you see it?
No.
No.
We can see
Here,
it,
here it is.
Okay, here we go.
but maybe not in that room.
Okay.
We're
Is
good.
everyone able to see it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so I think we were just finishing up the top 3 of the highest. So there were, in terms of, there is one area where there was a change, a decrease, and that was the first one. So my department has the staff needed to do its job well from 2018 to 2021, but we have seen a significant increase in the ranking for, it's easy for me to get the information I need from the institution, and I am paid fairly well for the work that I do. So that's important to note. And then if we look at the bottom 3, again, we have increases from 2018 to 2021 in the satisfaction category, and that is for the type of work I do is personally rewarding. I feel respect for my colleagues, and again, my supervisors treat me with dignity and respect. So in all of those areas, we have seen an increase from 2018 to 2021. And then the highest difference, you'll notice from 2018 to 2021, there have also been significant increases in the areas of benefits available to me, as well as that my department or work unit has written in up-to-date objectives, and I am paid fairly for the work that I do. So we've seen significant improvement in those areas. So again, we want to keep the momentum going, but you will also notice as I go to the next slide, some of those areas we are still low in satisfaction, although doing better and doing well. We still want to continue to focus on those areas because they still show up in our top lowest items for employee satisfaction. So we're doing well, and so I don't want anyone to get discouraged, but we still have work to do in some of those areas. And so all of these are the top 5 of the lowest satisfaction items, and that's again doing more staff needed. This is a new one that we haven't seen, adequate opportunities for advancement. It's easy for me to get information at this institution. This was also new information that wasn't on those other slides, is I don't feel anxious about the future of our organization. And then I am paid fairly for the work that I do. But there's always some positives, and so our top 5 highest satisfaction scores that we receive, again, going back to treating individuals with dignity and respect, and that was our top highest satisfaction score. People personally feel that the work that they're doing is rewarding. I'm glad to know that employees feel that we've taken appropriate actions in response to COVID, and this was a new question that we added. And again, it goes back to feeling respect from their colleagues, and also individuals feel that they're able to maintain a balance between work and their personal life. So those were the top 5. And then overall, we're getting to the end. Overall, our mean in 2016 was 3.62. In 2021, it's 3.60. It's not a significant difference, and so it were relatively the same. And some of the difference could be because we had more employees complete the survey this year as well. The faculty mean and staff mean are also available. Faculty scored a little bit higher on satisfaction than our staff did, but if we look at our comparative group, it is, and actually, that's actually a typo, because our comparative group, we are significantly different from the, well, no, that's right. So the comparative group was the same for 2018 and 2021, but we are significantly different from the comparative group, which is what was identified through NOLEVITS. And again, that comparative group is 60 other community colleges. So next is just processing suggestions and next steps. The first thing that we wanted to do was publish the summary report and also report out to employees. So we shared this information during convocation in August, and then we've also published the reports on the webpage. And now we're in the process of identifying a few priorities in which we want to work on. So what are our areas of improvement? And so I think starting with that top 5 of our lowest satisfaction ratings is probably an area in which we want to start. And then facilitating some focus groups around the data. And so the employee engagement group, we have been meeting these last 2 months to talk about the process for focus groups, what information do we want to focus on, and how we will identify the individuals that will be in focus groups to get specific information, because this is a lot of great aggregate data, a lot of good information for us, but it doesn't give us specific details and how we can improve. So we really need to hear the voice of our employees so we know what direction the college needs to go in. And then the next step is just identifying action steps and implement relevant initiatives around our goals. So that is the end of my presentation. I am happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Christina, thank you. Nice report, good information. How are you going to identify the priorities? You might have covered it. I missed it. How will the priorities be identified?
I think we need to start with those top 5 lowest satisfaction areas. So a lot of that had to do with communication. Some of it was pay. And so I think we have to start there and looking at those to identify those top 5, or to identify those areas of priority that we want to work on.
Who will be involved in that decision making?
So human resources, and then for the focus groups, we want to have our employee engagement committee involved. And then I also think that overall, cabinet really needs to be involved, because we'll be able to really make, depending upon the changes that are need to be made, we'll be the ones that will kind of lead that and move those things forward. Along with, we were needing to work closely with the employee engagement committee, because that group is a group that consists of representatives from staff senate, faculty senate, and then other various departments across the college.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Yes, I'd just like to thank you, Christina, for all your hard work and utilizing the no levits. It is a standard in the field, and I'm so happy we're engaged with it. And how else can we keep track of our institution on those, subtleties that we never think about unless we take a survey like that? So thank you, and thank your office for all the hard work. You are appreciated.
Thank you. And I also have to give a shout out to institutional effectiveness, because we work together on these as well.
Other questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, again, thank you for the good report. That's always interesting information and gives the college a lot to think about. And I know your group will tackle it in a good way. So thank you very much for the report. And Christina, you say that's online? Is it on the website?
It is, yes. And I sent, not sure if you all got the link earlier this month, but it is online, and I can resend it to the board.
Thanks. No communication scheduled, so we'll go to board committee reports.
Okay, this is Vice Chair Chris Welch, Chair of the Kansas City, Kansas Community College Finance Committee. The Finance Committee met on October 12th, and the updates are as follows. As you know, the college continues to manage the financial resources it has. Key items or key financials and action items, starting with revenues. The increase in revenues is due to $2.87 million received in financial aid. $295,000 in auxiliary revenues, such as bookstore and housing, and $2.72 million in property tax revenues. Operating expenses in the amount of $10.69 million is more than expected. Now, this, keep in mind, this includes approximately $3.8 million in student emergency relief and another $2.6 million in student financial aid. If you remove these expenses, it makes the adjusting operating expenses for the period approximately $5 million, which is consistent with normal monthly operations. As for the burn rate, it's tracking nicely, approximately $10.6 million versus a budgeted monthly burn rate of approximately $7.14 million. Net position of looks like 278,000 approximately. Kansas City, Kansas Community College overall net position decreased $4.35 million during September. Now, this decrease is a net result from operating results, i.e. expenses exceeding revenue, plus overall decrease in liabilities. Excuse me, sorry about that. The cash position, the college's year-to-date cash position remains strong at $5.5 million, better than last year's year-to-date cash position, which is always a good thing. The difference would be more in September, more at September 30th, and this would have been, of course, due to timing differences in cash reimbursement for $3.08 million in HERF 3 funds for student emergency relief and $2.61 million for student housing construction transfers. Let's see. Also, some of the key items that were discussed during the meeting, the Merchant McIntyre contract renewal. This is the firm that's assisting KCKCC in obtaining federal grants and developing key government relationships. The contract, as far as the big things in the contract, are that the costs remain the same and the terms are the same as last year's. And then a keynote that they are making very good headway in federal grant efforts. Other items that we need to continue to monitor, of course, we are continuing to track and do everything we can with respect to any type of COVID-19 financial impacts. And many or most colleges are in this or similar position. Just keep in mind that potential long-term decline in enrollments will continue to place pressure on the college to rely on these funds to meet ongoing operating expenses. For example, fall enrollment was approximately 4% less than fall 2020, and enrollment is currently down by approximately 19% versus fall 2019. Let's see, a couple other real quick things on the agenda, or excuse me, on the update. We, of course, discussed the downtown campus, and as you know, fundraising is well on its way. We had some additional discussion about the Kansas Promise Act, and that again is the last dollar high demand, high wage scholarships. And this is, of course, has been in place for just a short while for fall 2021. As of last report, I know that we had 20 students had received scholarships in the amount of approximately $30,000 being awarded. And again, this is going to help to offset lesser COVID relief funding for the year. Student housing, I think that many of the folks who may have tuned in today either heard about or attended themselves the topping ceremony, which was conducted on October 15th. And then finally, the last item on the report is the preliminary audit report. The initial field work has been completed. The preliminary report will be available by November, and we're targeting board approval by the board December meeting. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, well, that concludes my report. Thank you for your time.
Meeting this past week, and of course our fearless leader is not here, but she keeps us on track, making sure that we are very detailed in review of each one of these policies. And as on the agenda, we will be asking you to approve the policies. The Senates have been reviewed them. We had no questions or concerns, so we're asking that you approve them as written. We also have another list of policies upcoming. So we continue to work hard. Trustee Sutton was not able to be here today, and that is why I'm giving this report today. Thank you. Any questions?
Question or comments? Thank you, Trustee Brown.
Mr. Chair, I'll just note for you that Trustee Sutton and I were at the ACCT Annual Congress meeting last week and suffering through it in San Diego.
Yeah, right.
As it were. And it was a fairly well-attended meeting, although the attendance was down overall. But ACCT did a nice job, setting everything up, safety protocols, and so on and so forth. Down to you could choose your lanyard. If you chose a green lanyard, that meant you were signaling you were up for socializing. If you chose a yellow lanyard, you were still being cautious, and if you chose a red one, I'm not ready to socialize yet. So I will report they ran out of green lanyards. So people had to get a different color. But Trustee Sutton and I both attended the Chairs Academy, which was really, really good. I have been to the Chairs Academy before, but it was interesting discussion and dialogue going on there. Nobody brought up anything that we haven't already dealt with, Ray, at least you and I for sure, and the years that, that we've been here, and really, to include things that Roz dealt with. So we were able to share some insight, brought some materials back to look at, but mostly for me, it was very, very affirming that, the chairs that we have had in recent years, and speaking specifically, Ray, of you and Roz, for sure, it just affirms that what, we are doing are certainly best practices, and we're on board and on target with those. And so Linda and I attended separate workshops so that we could cover the most ground between the two of us. And so I know she has some notes and some handouts, and I do as well, that, I will share with you all going forward. So the next meeting there is the Legislative Summit meeting in February, which is planned to be in person. And then the KCKCC group will have a quarterly meeting early in December. So we'll have some information coming, I'm sure, as we get into November about that. We have new leader. J. Noah Brown retired and stepped down. He was appropriately recognized and so forth. And Ji-Hang Lee will ascend to the executive director's position. We voted in new board members. We voted in, we kept our regional coordinator, and Arlen Leiker from Colby Community College was there. He is continuing as the Kansas State coordinator for ACCT. So Arlen and I probably have some things to share at the KCKCC quarterly meeting. Nancy Ingram was there, our KCKCC current executive board president, and we had good conversations, with her. So that's all I have at this point.
Thank you, Don. Really appreciate you and Linda attending, representing the college, and hopefully next year more of us will feel comfortable in going, but certainly appreciate your going. And any information that you and Linda can bring back would certainly be helpful. Those meetings are always very, very informative, and I know a lot to learn. So again, thank you and Linda very much for making that effort to go.
You bet.
Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved, Brown.
Second, Criswell.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Student Center report. DJ Gilrey.
Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
Awesome. Awesome. So we actually have most of the student here today, so I'm going to pass around our microphone, let them introduce themselves, and just talk about who they are and their position, okay?
Hi, my name is Shawnee. I am the Student Activities Coordinator.
Good morning, I'm Crystal Tucker. I am the Chief Information Officer and Secretary.
Hi, I'm actually Elon, and I'm Coordinator of the Students.
Hi, I'm Asia Airwood, and I'm Vice President.
Hello, I'm Trong, and I'm Treasurer.
Hi guys, I'm Jajaria, and I'm the Student Senate President. And today, we're just going to go over a couple of things that we've been talking about in our past Student Senate meeting. It's just two main things. Well, first of all, I would like to talk about how well our talking ceremony went the other day. It was very exciting to go and sign, what was it called? The beam, sorry. It was really, and there was a lot of people out there. We got to meet some construction workers, and just talk to Dr. Mosher and hear about how well and smoothly everything's going. So that was exciting. But as far as old business goes, we've had, basically went over all the policies. There were 6 policies that went over in our Senate meeting. It was the paternity leave, procedure of handling inquiries concerning the available positions, request report for absences, student excuse absences, transfer standards, and the graduation requirements. We're going to get a lot of feedback from it, so everything looks pretty much set on that. But our biggest thing that we have coming up is still the Halloween Bash, which we covered a little bit last time, but Shawnee's here and she's going to give you guys some more details about how that's going.
Alrighty, just to talk about the Halloween Bash. We're hoping that we have the biggest trunk or treat in Wyandotte. That's our biggest goal, making sure that all of our clubs are having, you know, each one of their students, if they can, bring out their trunks. You already know that there is going to be a drive-in movie. We're excited about the hair contest and the dance contest. And we're also ready for our haunted maze. It will also include roller coaster rides and different food trucks there as well. We also brought up for the breakfast with Santa ideas. We're thinking about taking it to the tech center and making sure it loops around. And for safety, we were thinking about maybe like little housekeeping or tasties. I forgot what they were called. And making sure that we go grocery shopping for different little gifts that we can help the little kids wrap for their parents.
But that is, thank you, Jenny. That's all that we really had for our Student Senate. Again, thank you guys for having us here and giving us an opportunity to speak. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Question or
No
comments?
questions.
Oh,
Just a quick comment. This is Vice Chair Criswell. I really appreciate your layout and all of you being together, because it's nice to know who is on the, not only who is on the Student Senate, but also your various roles. So I like your gathering space there. So just want to make that comment. So thank you for your report.
Any more questions or comments?
yeah, I'd like to echo that also. It's really nice of all of you to find the time to meet with us. So thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all your good work. A lot of good things happening from Student Senate. Other questions or comments from the board?
Keep up the good work.
Ask for a motion to accept the Student Senate report.
So moved. Second, McIntyre.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Have a good day. President's report.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Daniels. And first, for our Student Senate, I'd like to echo the comments made by our Board of Trustees. So you have a really strong cabinet, and you're doing great work. So keep that up. Appreciate it very much. And DJ, I just have to mention what a terrific job you did at the topping off ceremony, and given some of the issues that we're working with current housing, I think you handled that very professionally and just did a wonderful job speaking at the topping off ceremony. So congratulations on that. We've been starting off with our COVID update for the college. For this last month since our last meeting, we have been doing very well. On the employee side, we have had 7 employees impacted in one way or another with COVID, 5 positive and 2 close contacts. So in relationship to previous months, I wanted to see how we have been trending. Last month, we reported 6 instances, 3 COVID positive for employees. In the month prior, it would be July, it was 7 instances with 4 COVID positive. So we're pretty steady with our employees and our faculty and staff. I think they're doing a great job trying to be as safe as possible given the environment, and doing very well to help keep themselves and others safe during this time. For our students, we had 26 total impacted students, 11 COVID positive. So those are good numbers. Last month, we really, we stepped up in our numbers with our students. That represented the month of August. There were 57 affected students, 20 COVID positive. But if we look to the month before of July, we were at 26 impacted students with 17 COVID positive. So taking last month out of the cycle, I mean, we're doing very well, and actually have come down from what our norm would be. So good work, everyone. And we've always said October, November is going to be very telling for us as a college, and might provide some indicators on what we might need to do moving forward going into January. And at this time, I don't have any change in recommendations that I'm thinking about, but we will continue to watch the numbers, not only at the college, but in the community as we go through the month of November. So lots of good work being done there. I'm sure VP Pope will talk more about our HLC work and our site visit, which is coming up next Monday. So I don't want to steal the scene, but he's got some good work going on there. So I look forward to his update. During this last month, we finalized a contract, a partnership agreement with FAME, and FAME is the Federation for Advanced Manufacturing Education, and that goes to our Advanced Manufacturing Technology program, or what we're really calling our Automated Engineering Technology, that will start at Tech and then move downtown once we have that facility going. That's a big deal. We are the first college in the state of Kansas to be a FAME institution. It's sponsored by employees, and I think we have about a dozen employees who are sponsors of that program. And what that means is that they will sponsor a student by hiring them and paying them solid wages that will more than pay for their what would be normal cost of education, with some additional money. One thing, and they'll guarantee a number of seats each semester. So no matter if they're at that number or above that number, they would pay for however many students are in that apprenticeship type work for them. If they were to slide below that number, they would still pay for those number of seats, right? So it's a locked-in program. You have to be accepted as a FAME student to be in this program. So it's not open admissions. And that's why it's important as we set up these new public-private partnerships that we have a really good understanding with our business and industry sector that we do have to have a required number of seats in order to break even. So that was a good conversation that we had with them, and I got that signed, I think, probably 2 weeks ago. Cheryl Runebaum, Dean Runebaum, and several of the other faculty and staff in the area down at Tech have been working on that, along with Wyandotte Economic Development Group and Workforce Partnership and some other groups downtown. So we're excited to have that going. And again, we will be the first one in the state. Had a trip 2 weeks ago with Dr. Bartunik and I going to Washington, D.C. and meeting with Merchant McIntyre, who is working on our federal grants. And we also visited with a member of Representative David's office virtually. And then we met in person with Senator Marshall and Senator Moran. I'm really pleased to say that all of our representatives are very supportive of the college and very supportive of what we're doing with the downtown program. Representative Davids is the individual who put forward that almost a $2 million, what we would call congressional discretionary spending. And earmarks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we found it depends on which office you're in or what you call it. So very supportive of that. That runs through the defense sector budgeting process. There's not a defense subcommittee on the Senate side, so that goes right for the regular appropriations for a national budget. Senator Moran is the appropriator of that defense budget, so and is highly supportive of the earmark that Representative Davids put forward. So that was very good. We also talked with Senator Moran about some of the other projects that we have going on, the EDA grant. Again, we're very fortunate that Senator Moran is the chairman for the appropriations for the Department of Commerce and the EDA. So as he's rolling out the money to Commerce and EDA, he can say, and here's this great project going on in Kansas City, Kansas. So he's supportive of that, and as a congressional discretionary spending, as Senator Moran prefers, he is willing to support us in next year's process as well. So he and Senator Marshall will work together, and we'll work with the both of them on putting in another request for next year. Many other good things took place during that time as well, and we spent a full day and a work session with Merchant McIntyre and looking at different funding sources that we'll plan on this next year. Also had a check signing kind of celebration and opportunity with J.E. Dunn. So Gordon Lansfield came by, CEO of J.E. Dunn, and they committed $75,000 in cash to the downtown project, which we're very pleased with. And then there are other services. They've done about total $160,000, $180,000 in kind and in cash, which is beneficial. And they're working with us on the AME Church, 7th Street Church downtown. We've had some conversation, and just as kind of as a public update related to the mold concerns that we have had with the apartment complex who we lease our apartments from and then sublease it to our students. During the last 5 weeks, we've been working with mold issues that have been found in the 3 buildings that we lease from the organization. And with a tremendous thank you to Mike Beach and his team, Chris Gardner, and other individuals and facilities. KCKCC really took the lead, put safety first, and in a very rapid time frame started to go in and remediating these mold issues by chemical, antibacterial chemical cleaning of the rooms with a kills coat of paint, which blocks it into the surface, and cleaning HVAC systems, duct systems, and everything. So we started off not looking too great, only having about 14 rooms, 14 apartment units in those 3 buildings that were deemed habitable by air quality tests. But over the last month, they've worked really hard and working with Titan Environmental Services, we're up to about 40 rooms. So we're working as quickly as we can to have that safe environment for our students. We're kind of at the edge. We've been putting students up in hotels, paying for that ourselves, and we'll work out those details with the apartment vendor at a later time, and getting students back into the apartments so that it's more of their normal environment, and try to have the least amount disruption for their learning experience as possible. So we're getting very close to the end, and hopefully by the end of next week, we'll have as many apartments that have been remediated and have a clean bill of health, so to speak, with the air quality tests that we're doing, and trying to put as many students back in to the apartment complex as we can, even though we have limited rooms because some rooms were not able to be remediated. So the apartment complex is looking at doing, so we call it some additional work on that. And that may mean pulling out some sheetrock and replacing the sheetrock, and then painting and maybe some new carpet or some new ceiling finishings or things like that. So they're working on those items that require construction, and we are working on rooms and apartments that do not require instruction but has surface level mold that was identified. So thanks to everyone who's been working on that. It's been a long 5 weeks. We're just again putting safety first and trying to do as much as we can to get our students back to a normal environment where they can focus on their education, and if they're athletes on their sports. So kind of a update for that area. As DJ mentioned, we had a really great topping out ceremony, putting that last beam in place, and good plans moving forward. We're hoping to get a roof on student housing in November, so that we're all boxed in and they can continue, the construction crew can continue to do their work through the winter. So good things going on with student housing. Related to other grant type activities for the downtown project and a revitalization of a discussion that has taken place earlier regarding creating a regional training facility, EMT, fire, police, etc. There is part of the ARPA funding that EDA has 6 funding opportunities which you can participate. One is the Build Back Better program. That's developed for consortiums to go and really make a significant difference in the community that they reside, and taking an area that was not functioning well and building it back better. I think there's a $100 million cap per institution for that. So working with unified government on that regional emergency training center, and also incorporating the downtown project, particularly our health and wellness partners, how that fits in. We last night submitted a proposal for the UG's Build Back Better. It's a round 1. It is a planning grant, so it's $500,000. So if the project is chosen by EDA, then that gives us a time period and the financial resources to build that out more strongly. Also, our downtown project has been named a not just shovel-ready, but shovel-worthy project by Civic Council and KC Rising. So last week, Dr. Kramer and I went to a biologics listening session with biologic companies talking amongst themselves, and as educators we could listen in and listen to what their needs are. So working with KC Rising, the college is also part of a Build Back Better grant application. They were all due last night at midnight, so everyone has been hard at it. So we have several other federal grant opportunities that we're working on an individual basis with the EDA and also within consortiums across the Kansas City metro region. So building a lot of partnerships, and hopefully we can get a couple of these to hit, and we'll be good. 2 other items, and then I'll be quiet. November 1st, we go before the Landmark Commission for the last time in our appeal to raise the 7th Street Church, which is on 7th and State Avenue. This is our 3rd hearing that we've had with them, and we're answering the last round of questions, and also providing some more detailed images that are possibilities on how the physical materials of the church can be included and embedded into the construction of the facility, so that there's not concern that at some point they will disappear and we'll lose the history of the church, because it will become part of the architecture. So PGAV has the final round on those images that we'll look at tonight. Submit the reply by the 20th, and then the Landmark Commission is at 6 o'clock. Monday, November 1st. If anyone is interested in listening in, please let me know and we'll send out the link. It is a Zoom meeting. And then lastly, November is our annual food drive for the Board of Trustees. So just putting that bug in your ear for our next meeting, which is November 16th. If you are able to bring in food, bathroom necessities, kitchen necessities, those types of things which our students really need. If you'll bring them to the president's office, Risala and Cheryl will get those items stored until we have our November 16th meeting, which we will proudly display our what has been brought together for this food drive, and then really turn it over to the college's food cabinet and serve a lot of students who need food through these holiday seasons. So with that, I will end my report and take any questions.
I assume, Russell, in the past, you always sent out a list of things. I assume you'll get that to the board again this year for the food drive?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We'll get the list out for everyone and make sure that everybody has everything you need. You drop them by, or you can drive by and come to the car and take everything out. We'll make it as easy for you as possible.
Thank you. I'd just like to say on behalf of the board, just want to thank Dr. Mosier and everybody who's been involved in the mold issue. I know that's been stressful and taken a lot of your time, but the fact that you've really focused on the student safety and providing safe atmosphere for the students, thank you very much for everything you've done on that. I know that continues, but been greatly appreciated by the board and I think by the students in the community. So thank you for everything you've done there. Question or comments for Dr. Mosier from the board?
Move approval of the report.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Vice President Academic Affairs Report, Mr. Pope.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll just ask, I think the HLC report is in the unfinished business?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I was looking through our academic affairs report last night, or actually early this morning, And I was thinking, hey, I want to highlight everything, because there's really some really nice things going on in academic affairs, but I won't do that. But I would like to call your attention to just a couple of things. One, the Office of Assessment, under the direction of Dr. Cynthia Goodo, released the annual assessment report on October 1st. Our goal is to get it out in August, but we just had some issues. It's really the first big one of these that we've done, so we were really excited about it, and I'll use that as a teaser to make a little report on the HLC update, more in-depth about that report. I would also like to point out Tom Grady, who's our faculty director for the Center for Teaching Excellence, has some really nice presentations going on. Next Monday, the 25th, is going to be a busy day for him because that's the day of our mock visit, but he's also presenting at the end of that day for NISOD, teaching at a, well, I think I've got the wrong date, that's the next one, but he's developing for NISOD a program and a course titled Teaching at a Community or Technical College, where they focus on some of the difficulties and challenges and the specifics of teaching at a community college. So I think that's a really exciting opportunity for him and for us, and that's the group met Friday, September 29th. What I jumped ahead to was a presentation called Teaching in a Post-Pandemic World, Key Trends in Higher Education, that Tom is also presenting, and that'll be at the end of the day next week. He called me and said, "Are you okay with me doing that?" And we talked about the time, and I said, "Yeah, I think that's a good thing for you to do." So kudos to Tom for those two presentations. The Learning Services hosted a workshop for our student athletes, so they're really working to get that, that kind of cohort or group of students with some training and some work and study skills and so forth. So really kudos to that group for our academic support area for working with our students. For the Writing Center, they have a writing club which invites students to kind of celebrate literature and creative writing and share a piece that they've discovered or that they've thought about. So I kind of like to point that out. For this month in October, they're looking at spirituality, and they're looking at a Nathaniel Hawthorne story, which I think is really pretty exciting. So some good work that's going on in our academic support area. So kind of kudos to that group. Amanda Williams, new Dr. Amanda Williams, or recently Dr. Amanda Williams, is a presentation for AAC and U. So there's just a lot of things that are going on in that department. Our own music professor, Jim Mayer, is in the running. I don't know if the votes have closed. I don't know if they've determined who won or not. But for Casey's favorite saxophonist for the American City Jazz Ambassador. So congratulations.
Who votes on that, Gary? How do you
Well,
vote on that?
I think it's probably people that are on the list for the Kansas City Jazz Ambassadors, on their mailing list.
Not for the general
kind of
public.
See them in... if you happen to get on a mailing list or something.
Yeah.
Yes. We did have a few of our own adjunct faculty members in the running too, so kind of exciting news for them. The theater department presented You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, a musical about Charlie Brown. Dr. Mosher and I and our families were there on Friday, and it was really kind of a nice performance. It was a nice job. It was really good to see live theater again. It's the first time I've seen live theater since the pandemic, so it was an exciting time. Dr. Bennick, Associate Professor of Music, has signed a contract for kind of working in different areas on a textbook, Experiencing Jazz, kind of highlighting his experience and expertise in some Ella Fitzgerald and some singing, so congratulations. I reported last month that the Standard Group, which is our top tier vocal jazz group, would be releasing their album, and they did. It's called Coal and Diamonds. If you've got a streaming service, you can download it. I have iTunes, and so I downloaded it. It was really kind of fun to listen to. So if you get that opportunity, probably there's some CDs. You might get Dr. Mosher or Rissela to reach out to Professor Stafford. And our technology program, I noticed that the students at PCC were working on some electrical stuff here, so good job for them. Whenever I do anything electrical at my house, I hold my breath that I'm not going to blow the fuse or set the neighborhood on fire, but so really nice for our students. Project manager for Habitat for Humanity toured our training village over behind, I can't remember if it was Tech 1 or Tech 2, but behind there we've kind of built that training village, so really good. Our students provided and built some things for Habitat for Humanity, so that's a great outreach. There's a picture of a hydraulic excavator that is there that our BEMT program received a Perkins grant for, so our students are able to work on that piece of equipment. So kudos to everybody that worked on that grant and getting us that money to purchase those. I like to highlight that not all of our students are either high school students or traditional college students, and there's a picture of a U.S. Staff Sergeant who it was on his last day of active duty. His plans, he took the BEMT program through workforce development, and once he's finished with that is planning to transfer to San Antonio. So, you know, one of the many good things that we do at this college, we reach out to a very diverse set of students. So I thought that was worth highlighting. You can see we're excited about our adult GED and adult basic education that we're offering at Lansing Correctional Facility in conjunction with the welding program. So we kind of reported on that grant. The Technical Education Center had a job fair, so you know we've got some really exciting things going on. I reported last time that our nursing accreditors were here. I'm happy to report that both groups are going to recommend, you know, that's how things go. They make, the site visit team makes recommendations and ultimately a deciding body votes on it. But both of their recommendations were extremely positive, recommending the nursing program to be accredited for the full amount of time that's available for both of those bodies. So congratulations to the nursing department and our Dean of Health Professions and Director of Nursing for all of the good work that they are doing. Our respiratory therapy approved their annual report of current status, so all of our programs are remaining accredited, which is awesome. Dr. Kramer, the biomanufacturing students worked, I thought this was really interesting, on a small project to kind of study the coronavirus. So very timely, studying kind of its protein spike. I won't say any more about that because I don't know anything more about that, but I thought that was really exciting. In his division, 2 professors of business. One you'll recognize as a retired professor of business and dean at one time, Dr. Sue Courtney, and then Terry Huggins, who's a relatively new member here, received some awards from the Kansas Council for Workforce Education. So congratulations to those instructors. And then I had hoped that Trustee Sutton would be here to hear this announcement because I know she asked me about it in one of our meetings. But on this Monday, we welcomed our new Early Childhood Education and Development Program Coordinator. So Annette Farrell, I got a chance to meet her, and Cleon took her around and was introducing her, so we're real excited about opportunities that we'll have in that program. And then one last thing, another presentation of a faculty member. It's happened, it was on the 15th, so I kind of missed that. I'm sad I did, but Dr. Emily Morrow, Assistant Professor of Sociology, presented the academic symposium, How a Belief in Meritocracy Reproduces Work Inequality. So I think that might have been a very interesting presentation. So just some highlights of things that are going on in academic affairs. I think some really wonderful, exciting things. And kudos to all of the faculty, staff, and that work in this area. So I'll take any questions that you have.
Question or comments? Good report. Always fascinating to see all the good things that are happening. Thanks for highlighting some of them.
Thank you.
A lot of other good stuff in there too. So
yes.
Need a motion to approve the report, accept the report.
So moved, Brown.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the report. All
Aye.
opposed, nay. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Vice President Student Affairs report, Dr. Delphina Wilson.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Nice to see you. So this morning I want to give you just a brief update and some highlights of what's been going on in student affairs this last week. So I will start with the KCKCC COVID HERF 3 relief funds. So for the fall semester, the current fall semester, at this point we've awarded right at 1,580 students. And a total of about 2.4 million has been dispersed. So we will continue to award students who are in need. Students can still go to our website and apply for the COVID relief funds. And at this point, we do think that we will be able to award funds for the spring semester. For fall enrollment, I think Trustee Criswell had mentioned, we were still right at that 19% down compared to fall of 2019, and that is for both unduplicated headcount and credit hours. That really hasn't changed much in the last couple of weeks. That number has pretty much remained stable. Good news is that spring 2022 enrollment will start here November 1st. So hopefully that will be an opportunity for us to be able to bring some more, students in. A couple of things that we're doing, the enrollment management area is working with a company called Signal Vine. Signal Vine will give us an opportunity to implement a new text messaging platform, which will allow us to communicate quickly and effectively with our students. So they are working on testing it and the implementation to make sure we're ready to go for spring 2022 semester. So as you know, a lot of times our students now, email is old school, so texting is the new thing for them. So we're hoping that this is really going to help our efforts to communicate effectively with the students. The registrar's office is looking into a new electronic diploma system. So they've met with Johnson's and with Parchment in the last couple of weeks. They're both companies that provide this service. So moving forward, if we do go with one of these companies, our students will be able to receive not only their paper version diploma that those of you who are like me who love to frame it and put it on the wall will still get that, but they will also have access to a very nice electronic diploma that they can download, save to their computer, and have it available for the future. So we are looking forward at, hopefully being able to implement that service to have it available for our upcoming graduation. Enrollment management continues to work with the high schools and the academic deans to try to get a Blue Devils Early College Academy course offerings here on campus. That will be when high school students will come to us, and they've developed a schedule of typical classes that a high school student would want to take with us. It's a way for us to hopefully, gain enrollment, and provide courses to our students. So hopefully we'll be able to make some, movement in that area. So as we progress with spring enrollment, I will try to keep the board updated. So how are we doing with those numbers of bringing students, on campus to take courses with us? The Kansas Promise Act scholarship, Trustee Criswell reported that, last report that she received, there was, 20 students who were awarded, which is the information that I have, right at $30,000 or so. But an interesting thing that I did get from Miss Mary Dorr is that out of those 20 students, about 11 of them are students who were awarded the scholarship for nursing. So that seems to be a big sell for us. And the next big one was followed by electrical technology. We will work with our deans, our academic departments, our program coordinators to make sure we're getting this information out to the students. Obviously, it is on our website, but we do want to make sure that the message gets out to the students. This is an amazing opportunity for a student to be able to go to college into one of these fields. The Registrar's Office and the Student Success Center hosted their transfer fair, their /graduation fair. This was on October 13th. They had 43 colleges and universities here on site who, were here to kind of talk about their services for our students. We had 83 students who signed in and walked throughout the fair. This number is pretty much very similar to what we've had, in the past. I know that the Student Success Center shared with me that they're wanting to try to do one of these fairs in the spring semester, and hopefully they will do it in Lower Jewel where they can get a little more traffic. They did an assessment, or kind of like a survey. So they had the college reps ask several questions as they met with students, and each college rep, I understand, maybe had about 12 face-to-face, interactions with individual students. Some of the most common questions that our students were asking was, tell me about your undergraduate majors and your programs available. And some of the notable comments that the students made were the fair was just the perfect amount of time. Someone else said this was the best transfer fair that I've been to in a while. Someone said they love the snack bar, so food is always good. And someone thanked us for having a gluten-free lunch. So I think those are all, positive things that we can take back and really learn from. And some of the other suggestions or ideas was they had difficulty hearing or being able to discuss with the students, what programs they offer because of the music was maybe too loud. So we had to take note to, bring the music level down. They also suggested to have the fair earlier in the semester. And to look at ways to increase promoting the transfer fair. So we definitely will work with the Student Success Center and the Registrar's Office to keep those comments in mind for the spring fair. Counseling and Advocacy Center partnered with the Church of Resurrection to host the mobile food pantry. Last month at the tech, I had shared this was going to happen. So they served 57 families, 165 individuals, and approximately 1,386 pounds of food. Obviously, this continues to be a big need for our community, so we will continue to partner with them to host these events. Next time around, we'll probably be here at the main campus since we try to rotate. Counseling and Advocacy, along with student activities and the Center for Equity, Inclusion, and Multicultural Engagement, also hosted 2 virtual sessions last couple of weeks ago, Together We Can, which this was focusing on consensual relationship and sexual assault prevention. In addition to trying to get the information out there to our students and to promote participation, FBOE helped by co-sponsoring the evening session. And one of the unique things that they did was the Director of Student Activities and FBOE worked on transporting our students who were staying at the hotels out here that evening. So from the hotels to campus, they provided transportation for them to be able to participate, to come out here, and provided a meal for them. So again, food always goes a long way around here with our students. We did have 3 individual classes as a group that participated, and a total of 90 participants. The Military and Veterans Center, it is hosting their Battle of the Branches food drive. So that goes from October 15th through November 15th, just in time for the Board of Trustees to start their food drive. And so at this point, I don't think the Air Force is doing very well, so I need to get in there and donate just so that we can be a little more competitive. But so don't forget that is available. You can bring your food and donate it in one of they have boxes where we can put our stuff based on our branch of service. During this last month, I think student housing and the transition of student housing has been a really big thing for us at the college. And I do have to say that, I've seen how we've come together as a group, not only obviously student affairs, but academics, to be able to help our students, make sure that they understand what's going on, make sure they communicate, talk to the parents. The faculty has been very understanding, knowing that students are transitioning back and forth between hotels and housing. Some of them, the internet doesn't seem to work very well. Some need a little additional time. So I do appreciate our faculty for being so supportive and caring of our students during this time, because it is a difficult time for them, right? So their main goal is to get an education. And a lot of them are also athletes, so it's a lot of stress for them to come, back and forth. But I think we are finally getting to the end of the tunnel, hopefully. Like Dr. Mosher reported, Majority of our students who originally were out in hotels have been able to come back on campus into some of the rooms that have been cleared. There is still rooms that will need additional work or additional construction work, like Dr. Moser said, and eventually, hopefully, we'll get those back online. But for now, the numbers are coming down, and we're trying to get as many of our students back into student housing. We did have some who made the decision that at this point it was best for them to, go home, and they are at home and commuting. But our goal is to hopefully try to get everybody back as much as we can into the limited space that we have, and just get our students ready for the spring semester. So I do want to say thank you to the entire college, because this has been a college effort, and it's been a lot on our students, and I know that they appreciate it. The Office of Equity and Inclusion, they hosted their open house September 21st. I know I saw some of you there, and I just wanted to share that they had a good turnout. They had about 25 individuals who went and visited, learned about the center, and learned about the council. So far for the council, they've had 39 students, staff, or faculty members who applied to be part of the council. And I know the center currently is going through those applications and making decisions, picking 20 individuals to serve on the council. And last but not least, for sure, is the Community College Survey of Student Engagement. As you guys know, we did the survey with the students back in the spring semester. We did get the results in late summer, and it was presented during convocation. But I owe the Board of Trustees a presentation, and I will make sure that I provide that information to you in the upcoming November board meeting. That concludes my report. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you. Look forward to that report, and I know you've had it out, so we'll look forward to it. Any question or comments for Dr. Wilson? Thank you for your report, and thanks for the good words about the COVID, or the mold effort, and what's been going on. Need a motion to accept the report?
So move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Vice President Strategic Initiatives and Outreach Report, and filling in for Dr. Fortuna today is Mr. Omar Brenes. Did I pronounce that correctly, Omar?
Yes, it's Omar Brenes.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
No problem. Okay, hi, my name is Omar Brenes. I'm the web architect, and I'm presenting on behalf of Dr. Bertulik. Now, the first item, unfortunately, due to foreseen circumstances, she couldn't be here today, but we welcome to the team a new Executive Director of Marketing and Institutional Image. Her name is Chris Green, and she'll be officially introduced at the next meeting. Chris Green has more than 50 years of experience in leading higher education, marketing, and image building. She has led departments at several institutions, including the University of Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri Western State University, and Benedictine College. She earned her executive MBA at Benedictine College and her undergraduate degree in communications at Missouri Western. She most recently served in the marketing department at HNTV Corporation, a transportation engineering firm, and is excited to return to higher education. She started with us on October 11th, that was last week. So at the next meeting, you guys will get to officially meet her and know more about her. But we're very excited to have her here. Next, just a couple of highlights of the strategic initiatives and outreach department. First, we welcome Representatives Katie Wolfmore and Pat Petty to lunch with Dr. Moshe in person and Dr. Tammy Bertulik virtually, in preparation to welcome and provide a tour to K-Board Chair Mrs. Cheryl Harrison Lee. The group had a brief tour of the KCKCC main campus, followed by a more detailed tour of KCKCC Technical Education Center. We also participated in program ideas and opportunities at KU. This group is brainstorming and researching new potential ways to partner in order to provide our students with more transfer opportunities. We also prepared and submitted multiple certificates of appropriateness to the Landmarks Commission for the planning of the new downtown community education Health and Wellness Center. We also work with KCKCC Chamber and the Women's Foundation to plan the 2021 Versus with a Purpose fundraising event. KCKCC is providing the space and media support for the online auction. We also attended the Argentine Betterment Corporation Council meeting to support the Downtown Community Education Health and Wellness Center. Now, it's not here on my notes, but this week we also learned that the department won three awards of design for different materials. And this contest, they just tell us like that we want something, but not yet what we want. So once we know that, we'll let people know. But we know we won first, second, and third place in 3 different categories. We just don't know what they are yet.
We'll celebrate that in November, maybe.
Yeah, as soon as we find out, we'll let everybody know. We're quite excited about that. As far as social media goes, we continue the trend of upwards. Our Twitter followers, Facebook likes, impressions, Instagram followers. They all continue going up. There is a little bit of a decline when it comes to Facebook post reach for September, but that's because we didn't run any ads, and that's usually what happens. But also, September around this time, things start slowing down after the rush of the summer. And lastly, talk about the website. I know we talked about this before, but we have received over 80 online suggestions as to what to name the new coming housing, and new ones keep coming every day. As far as the website visits, they stay steady. There's not too much of a change from month to month, and as usual, the top web pages for last month. Number 1, degree and certificates. Number 2, class schedule. Number 3 is the get ready page, then web advisor, and then steps to enrollment. And as I was mentioning before, these are usually the 5 pages that are always the 5, just moving in different directions. So that's pretty much all I have. If anybody has any questions.
Question or comments? Thank you for your report, and thank you for being here today and filling in. Appreciate it. Need a motion to accept the report?
So move, Criswell.
Second, McIntyre.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you again for being here. Chief Financial Officer report, Mr. Beach.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's great to be here with you this morning. To start out with, I need to give a good shout out to all of the directors in the division, Mike Gowing and Everett Fletcher, Chief Putsky, Chris Gardner, and Leslie Stroheim. They're doing wonderful jobs. A lot going on, as has been reported. And in addition to everything that's going on that's outside or what would be outside of their normal routine this time of year, they're still holding down their normal routine. And so they're doing some wonderful things. As reported, our financial statement audit update there'll be a formal update of the draft of the financial statements and reports in the November board meeting presented by Novak Burks. The field work for the financial audit for the college and the compliance audit is complete at this stage. Last conversations that I had with the audit manager was that there were no material adjustments noted or weaknesses or deficiencies in the internal controls. And as it relates to the compliance audit, there were no significant question costs or material weaknesses or deficiencies in the controls over financial compliance. This is good news to the college and kind of relieves a little bit of the anxiety that I had coming into this year, as probably the board, because you may recall last year we received the report from Bill Miller, our auditor, that because of all the COVID funds, there was a lot of unanswered questions, there was a lot of additional risk, and so far we have gone through that process very smoothly with no significant issues. And we hope to be able to continue. So that was great news to us as a college and for the department. As indicated, our facility services crew, on top of everything else that they have going on, Chris and others have just done a marvelous job working with student services and other departments of the college and our housing vendor to help remediate the mold issues there. They've just jumped right in and tried to, and basically taken the process of having to report and compile information and get it out there in a useful format so that timely decisions can be made that are in the best interest of our students and their safety. So I commend them for that and all of the work that they are doing. Our new student housing project continues to come along, and we're excited for it. As has been mentioned in a couple of other reports, we had the topping out ceremony earlier or last week. In addition to that, as we looked at the building and saw that it was, coming right up to full height, they are starting to place the ceiling or roof joists or structural work to hold the roof, and they're also inserting windows on the west side of that building and starting to make their way around. Once they get the windows in and the roof on, which they're speedily racing to accomplish, the building will be considered to be weathered in or basically weatherproofed, and they'll be able to start all of the sheetrocking efforts on the interior of that building. I don't know how many noticed, but as we were at the beam ceremony, raising ceremony, if you looked up into the building and through the windows, there was already metal framework on the third floor of the building being completed. That I don't think the third floor is 100% complete, but you could see the metal beams through the windows, that they were already framing and moving right along with all of the interior framing, electrical work, all of the data cabling, all of the plumbing, everything that needs to be done in that building in order to just keep it moving on schedule. Our finance team is working feverishly also, and again, a great shout out to Leslie and to Melissa for all of the work that the business office is doing in helping to work with the mold remediation. Those students that are going home or finding alternative housing are able to receive refunds. Students who are moving back into housing that had single rooms or paid to have a single room that now are willing to take on a roommate in order to accommodate more students are receiving discounted amounts to their tuition. And so the business office is busy working with understanding who needs refunds and discounts and applying those to student accounts and getting that money out to them. We've also been able to confirm with Mary Dorr and financial aid, because one of the biggest questions we asked ourselves as soon as we were going to be giving refunds is, was there any ramification of these refunds on Title IV funds for financial aid, as well as the funds that are new this year coming through the Kansas Promise Act? And so Mary was able to report that there's no impact on what we're doing right now with the students that are involved in any of those funds. And so that eliminates a lot of the risk and additional work that might have to go into addressing those funds. Bookstore continues to do great things as indicated. They're ahead of schedule as it relates to their spring adoption process for textbooks. They're also reaching out to other institutions in the state of Kansas to find out more information about best practices relating to inclusive access, the inclusive access program, so that we can better serve our students. Central Scheduling continues to just host classes, events, meetings, workshops on campus, and does a great job managing all of those efforts and the schedules of the classrooms. You can see a very long laundry list of accomplishments and goals for facility services. Again, most of these are in addition to everything else that's going on relating to the student housing issues that we're dealing with right now. And then last but not least, our college police do a great job. They've been able to run support services and directing traffic with the Church of the Resurrection and Harvesters with food distributions. These are mobile, basically the equivalent of mobile food banks that allow individuals in the community to come in and be able to collect food for their families. based on the amount of traffic and flow that go through those food banks, those portable or mobile food banks, is also still once again a testament to the great need, the level of food insecurity in our local community right here in our KCK and Wyandotte County. And it's great to be part of organizations that are looking for ways to be able to make it easier for families to be able to access food and be able to help bring some peace of mind to each of them in their lives as they are able to address those insecurities. Deputy Chief Sievers was able to issue the annual security and fire safety report for 2021. This is an annual report that's required under the Clery Act, and that went out on time. In addition, he's also been feverishly working on collecting additional information relating to crime stats for the report that has to go out or did go out to the Department of Education on the 13th. Sergeant Bailey continues to offer ALICE training campus-wide, students, faculty, staff, everybody that needs to be involved and receive those trainings. That is, I'll just add that I appreciate Trustee Criswell's report on the financial statements, and I don't really have anything new to report on that other than what she's already indicated, and I'll entertain questions.
Question or comments for Mr. Beach? Hearing none, ask for a motion for acceptance.
So moved.
So moved, Criswell.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
nay. Thank you, Mr. Beach.
Thank you.
Chief Human Resources Officer report. Ms. McGee.
Well, hello again. I will share my report with you. So we are still in the phases of implementing and updating our Ellucian system. So this month we are actually live testing employees using time entry. So we've selected some individuals that have volunteered to kind of test the time entry system and making sure that it's working properly before we transition all non-exempt and exempt employees into their new position design that we've created in Ellucian. And so we're working on that this month. We'll continue to work on it next month, and hopefully by January 1st, 2022, we'll have all implementation completed for our position redesign and time entry for non-exempt employees. We'll also begin some training later, early November for supervisors as well, if they have not used time entry for their employees. So that will be something that's upcoming, but currently working on the planning process and what that training will look like this month. And then in our training and development area, we issued the annual compliance training, or we launched it. Really launched it late September, but it's due October 31st, and there's 4 trainings that all employees will have to complete for compliance. And so we will continue to track that to ensure that all of our employees have completed that training, but it's due October 31st, and it's compliance training related to Title IX, harassment and discrimination, and then also FERPA compliance as well. And then in our benefits area, this is a huge month for us in terms of benefit open enrollment. So we've had some open enrollment sessions, virtual sessions scheduled this month. We have 1 additional session this week. And then we also had our flu and COVID vaccine on-site clinic last week. So we had a total of 32 participants sign up. And it's my understanding that we also had individuals, some that received their COVID vaccine booster as well. So we're happy to report that. And then really just last for the HR areas, we are still identifying in the interview process for the talent development manager role. We had interviews last week. We have a couple of interviews the week after next. And so our Center for our director for Center for Equity and Inclusion and Multicultural Engagement is also serving on that committee because the individuals selected for this position will work and collaborate with the director and as well as the coordinator on diversity and inclusion initiatives and trainings. So she's a part of that search committee as well. And then next is just our quarterly employee survey report for our new employees. And so if you'll look at Q3, we've had a little bit of a dip in some of the feedback that we received in terms of our scorings in the items listed below. So I don't have much to report on that. We don't exactly know the reason why. We have reviewed the comments, but in this particular quarter, we received scores versus a lot of feedback, but there is some good feedback regarding new employee orientation and how we can enhance that. So we will take a look at that. We also want the talent development manager to also kind of lead new employee orientation. And so really kind of just revamping that and making sure that it is the best to help support our new employees. And then our exit interview surveys for individuals that are leaving is listed here as well. It still appears that throughout the quarters, the largest reason, at least for the last 2 quarters, individuals are leaving advancement. So just continue to keep an eye on that area. And if there are any specific issues that are reported in the comment section, we do follow up with those employees and follow up with supervisors as well if there's anything specific that we feel may need to be addressed or looked into. So then there's just a graphical analysis of our report for your review as well. So I will answer any questions that you may have.
Question or comments? Hearing none, ask for a motion to accept the report.
So moved, Brown.
Second, Criswell.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, Ms. McGee.
Thank you.
Chief Information Officer report, Mr. Gabriel.
Good morning.
Good
morning.
You should have my report available. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things and send out a few thank yous for some work that's been going on lately. I want to start with a thank you to Pat Kelly and my team for his work on providing the Microsoft Bookings trainings to the Enrollment Management Department. I think that's going to be a really good tool for that area in scheduling appointments and things with students. The next one, I would like to thank the Media Services Department, not only for setting up for today, but their work over the last few days. They've had a few things back to back, including the topping out ceremony, which I thought went really well. We were sweating that camera with the final shot with the beam for quite a while until that last moment, really. And another, and part of my final thank you for this morning is to the Computer Services Group for putting up with my daily emails and tickets that I keep sending them on things that we need to update, things that we need to change. A lot of focus recently has been on security. So a lot of my emails and tickets and things are saying, you know, let's take a look at this classroom, let's work on this room, let's contact this user. Sorry, allergies are terrible lately. So thank you to them for that. Seems I have this in my board report every month, but it's my web advisor on its way out, self-service on its way in section. We just recently moved the purchasing, e-purchasing, however you refer to it, into self-service and out of web advisor. So that seems to be going well. We did notice a little hiccup on how you search for like a next approver, but we're working on that. The next thing on the list to be moved out of web advisor into self-service will be the leave requests. It's actually ready to go, but there's one small problem. It's not really a small, but when you do submit a leave request in the new system, it actually doesn't subtract it from your total. So there's a fix for that that we'll probably implement this weekend or maybe next. And then as we continue to work on that, there's plenty of other projects that we're working on. Signal Line, which is our texting program for enrollment management. Many other projects, but we have other things that we need to work on and update. And I think the next one that we have on the list that we're thinking of is the perceptive content, where we store up like digital documents. So that should come up here in the next month or two. So I think that does it for my notes. If you have any questions on the rest of the report, I'd be glad to take them.
Question or comments?
I just want to echo, great job by Media Services on that topping out ceremony, because we were pushing stuff and all the extra Wi-Fi extenders and everything that were put in to get all those different shots, and I don't think I mentioned it the other day, so yeah, thanks to your team for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for today, because I know this is a challenge to move all your stuff up here and do this for us, so thank you again to the media team for getting this program together to let us bring it out on the air. So thank you to all of you who are here today for the work you've done there. Need a motion to accept the report?
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Thank you. Okay, we're ready for unfinished business, HLC update. Steve or Ed, would one of you run down and see if Marcia could come down for a minute or two? Yeah, thanks. Okay, Jerry, I'm sorry.
So Dr. Moser mentioned the first thing, our mock HLC site visit, which will be Monday. I started to say a week, but it's less than a week now, so October 25th. Dr. Moser and I kind of thought about this. I'm pretty sure it was his original idea, but we talked about how to do this, and that we thought it would be a good opportunity for two things. One, for the campus just to kind of remember what it's like to have people from off campus asking us very detailed questions about what we're doing and what we said we would do, but also to give us the opportunity to have outside reviewers. And as I've mentioned a couple of times, the outside reviewers are either sitting or retired presidents of colleges, and they've served on multiple HLC site visit teams, and maybe even on the Institutional Actions Council. So they have pretty deep experience in HLC, and it gives us the opportunity to have outside readers read our assurance argument. And their responses so far have been really helpful. So we've incorporated some of the comments. It takes a little while to get everything together, but we've incorporated many of them, and we've been working to incorporate them all. So that's just been very helpful, and I'm excited that when they come in October, even though I really don't know if I want to say this out loud, but we still have November, December, January, February, and all of March. Now, the argument is due at the end of January, so we've got till the end of January to finish that argument. But any kind of outstanding stuff, we still have a while, which is it's a nice place to be, to have some extra time to spend on that. So I want to make a shout out to everybody on the HLC steering committee that have been working so hard on this, but also to everybody across the institution that gets random emails that say, hey, I'm looking for this, or can you help me with this? Can you help me? Have I described this adequately? And we'll be doing even more of that as time goes on. So I think it's just been a very helpful, interesting process. And I'll just say that Dr. Jones, who's kind of the leader of this, she's a retired president from community college in Arkansas. She said that one of the site visits that they had done was just a few weeks or maybe a month before the real visit, so they didn't have any time to respond to any suggestions or whatever. So I think this is really a good experience for us. And I am sure that we're going to be having HLC visit us for a few more times, maybe not a few more times, but they'll definitely be here in 2025, which is our regular visit. So the more practice we can get, the better off I think we are. The agenda I think Dr. Mosier's probably is going to send it out to the board if you haven't already received it. But they're meeting with the president and the cabinet, the team is meeting with the steering committee, and then we have kind of 3 areas of focus meetings which are open to anybody across campus. And then those areas of focus are facilities, budget, IT, and planning, and then student services and co-curricular, and then our program review and academic assessment. And then in addition to those, we have some targeted, areas of focus are for kind of targeted attendees. Sorry, my mouth got ahead of my brain. So we have those areas of focus where we have some kind of targeted attendees for those areas. But then we have corresponding open forums that we hope more people, as many people as can attend those. And I'm meeting with Randy later this afternoon to make sure we have it tied down and settled that we can have a virtual option. So I think that'll be very helpful for us. And then we have, there will be an exit meeting with the president and the cabinet. And then I think Dr. Jones and I are going to meet the Tuesday after, just have a final follow-up. And she's going to be helping us through the next couple of months too, to kind of tie down any loose ends. So I'm very excited about that event. I think it'll be really good for us for multiple reasons. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I don't know if I covered everything in that.
Oh, good report, Jerry. Any question or comments?
And I have one more thing, but that was just about that.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're on target for the meeting on Monday and meeting the HLC requirements. So yeah, good work by you and your group.
I'm excited about that. Then the other thing I wanted to kind of mention, and you can kind of see it. It's the annual assessment report. It's a nice report. I don't know, I can't see the page numbers, but it's 40 pages or something. And in it, I'm actually going to use some of the, more than some, but a significant amount of this information is evidence in our assurance argument. There's stuff about program level assessment. There's some great examples of changes that faculty have made in their classes as a result of their class level assessment. There's a description of what we're doing with our general education assessment. So I think it's just a great resource, and we will have these on a yearly basis. So I'll get Dr. Mosier, if he wants, to send this around to you, and it's a document that we'll continue to improve upon. One of the things I'll say, we're trying to be real specific about deadlines. And so this was kind of our first year. Our deadline was June 1st. This information is representative of what was submitted June 1st. I wanted to go ahead and do that. We have since, our participation numbers and submission numbers are almost 100% now. So I wanted to say, if you read this and you say, oh my God, he's saying we're doing really well, but it doesn't look like we are. We were trying to just get into that cycle. And so I just made the decision that it was due June 1st, and many people, it's just the first time, they're just unforeseen circumstances, but we're getting into that rotation and that cycle of when things are due. So I won't spend any more time on that, but I was just very excited about this assessment report. It looks good. It's got some good information. We're going to continue to work on getting it better. And it'll be a yearly thing that we do, so I'm very excited about that.
Did you send that out already to the board?
I did.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
It's a good report. It's
Yeah,
really interesting.
very nice job.
Really interesting information. So, yeah, thank you.
So
Good
I think
report.
that's it for HLC at this point.
Sounds like you're very confident on how this is going to all work out.
I had a conversation with Dr. Jones yesterday, and we still, if they came tomorrow, I wouldn't be this confident. But just where we've been, where we are now, and where I know that we're going to be able to go over the next few months in getting that information together, I'm confident now. I have a feeling that they're going to want to come back because I would say, yeah, you've done really well for the last 2 years, but I don't know whether you're going to continue.
Right.
But
Yeah.
we've done, compared to, part of what the team has done is read our previous report and read the current report alongside it, and they're all really excited about the things that we've done, and think that we've gone a long way to addressing, these concerns. I mean, we knew we couldn't address them 100% in 2 years, but the effort and what we've been able to accomplish in these 2 years is really good.
Good.
Yeah. If I add to that just a little bit, the college has done just a tremendous amount of work to put processes and procedures in place and documents and structures, and the big thing is having that evidence and then taking action upon that evidence. So I think in what we will have, we're showing that we're making some pretty significant progress in that. So those areas that were not met in criterion 4, I'm perfectly happy with met with concern, because met with concern means the same thing as met, right? And because we haven't had anything for the 10 plus years prior, we don't have a track record. So now we're showing that we have the processes and structures in place. I think they're saying, good job. Now let's make sure that you continue to do this. So a follow-up monitoring report or anything like that, we would welcome that. But a tremendous amount of work has been put together, and they don't want to see activities. They want to see process and structure, and how can we continue that. And the work that Jerry and the deans and the assessment group has done is really putting that in place. So it's comforting.
Yeah.
We'll still have work to do.
Yes.
Well, these mock assessments are valuable, very valuable. When we started in accreditation at police department, we went through the initial accreditation and the first reaccreditation without doing them, and we got beat up, and then we learned to do a mock. And I love your timeline, because you're allowing yourself the time to take their feedback and, make your adjustments. We only allowed 30 days, wasn't much more than to 2 weeks you talked about it, but we learned from it in going forward. So I think it's a great strategy, and I think it's going to pay off for us.
And some of our document may be 85% complete, but that's okay, because we can use their feedback to complete the rest of that document and maybe reinforce some areas that were already in there.
Thank you for your leadership, and thanks for the monthly reports. Really helpful to keep the board informed on that. We'll continue to look forward to those and a successful conclusion at the end.
Great.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
Okay, new business, we have a couple items. One, the approval of the contract renewal of Merchant McIntyre and Associates. Dr. Mosier?
Yes, I do have that. I have just one little update, as I mentioned, with student housing, current student housing that changes all the time. We've had the meeting going on. Sean, Dr. Darrett, and his group has been able to secure 9 rooms at Comfort Suites for this next week, which is where our gap was, right? Because we try and finish some of the remediation. So great work by them, and it allows some more stability, that extra week that we needed for our students that are still in hotels. So great job. So I do have for your approval a contract renewal for Merchant McIntyre and Associates, who are doing our federal grant writing efforts. While we have not had a big one hit yet, we've had 3 large TRIO or Title III grants that have been submitted. And we have literally been 1 point or up to like 1.3 points away on 106 or 108 point scale. So we're really close. And with these grant applications, again, sometimes we're building our reputation with that and what we're doing. So if it didn't hit this year, odds are it's going to hit next year. They are continuing to work on grant opportunities. They're helping with the earmarks and the congressional connectivity. They're working with Dr. Kramer and his team for an NSF ATE grant. They have another Title III Upward Bound grant that's going to come out in the near future. So we're building those data resources. We're building the narrative and the numbers and everything. So I guess what I'm saying. So while nothing big has hit yet, we're really making progress. So I would like to continue working with Merchant McIntyre for another year. The contract has the same terms exactly as last year. Basically, the date has changed. So there's been no increase in cost or decrease in services that they're willing to offer the college. And they're always willing to help and jump in, and even willing to help and jump in with some of these Build Back Better grant proposals, which is really not their deal, but always offering to help. So it's a good company to work with, and I think it's a good investment for the institution. So I would ask for your approval of this contract renewal.
Need a motion to approve the contract?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the contract. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And finally, we have some college policies. I think, Ms. Brown, you're going to introduce those?
Well, we sent them out to all of the senates, and we had no comments or changes or questions, so I am asking that the board approve the policies as presented.
And Mr. Goheen, remind me again, I should know this by now. Do we have to approve those individually, or can we approve them as a group? Thank you. Need a motion to approve the well, any questions or comments regarding the policies before we vote on them?
Yeah,
I agree with 99.999%. One, just real quick item on the travel and meals policy. I noticed that on the section that speaks to the personal vehicle, it speaks to expenses not covered, specifically like traffic tickets and things that result from a traffic or parking violation. But I did not see that as an exclusion under the rental car section. So if that could be added, just for consistency, whether someone is traveling in a personal vehicle or if they're using a rental car, if they get a ticket, the college isn't paying for it, is the bottom line. So if we could add that, that would be great.
Okay. So do we add that as an amendment? Or
Approve with that.
approve with the
language.
amended language? Okay.
Yep, and I'd just like to, having recently traveled, we encountered something that I have never encountered before, and that was every restaurant or shop you went in, to purchase had a surcharge from 3% to 5% because of the law in California and in San Diego that they have to pay a certain wage. So they're not raising the, well, I'm not going to say they're not raising the price on the goods because some of that stuff pretty expensive in San Diego, but they're adding a surcharge. They're adding a surcharge to it. So depending on how many meals an employee is going to be responsible for buying, I don't know how we check that because I doubt that that's in the federal guidelines on the cost per city, but doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're gone for several days and you're, eating several meals, it gets to eating into that allowance. So I don't think we can do anything in the policy about that, but
I was just going to ask.
Yeah.
just FYI.
Good to know. Yeah, thank you.
So are you saying
Don't
spend
expect
less just in case,
Don't
in
expect-
case you run out of
Don't expect
money?
it to go as far. Don't expect it to go as far. Yeah.
Okay, we need a motion to approve with the one amendment in the travel policy.
Travel policy, yes.
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the policies as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nice work, policy committee.
Yeah, you guys are really doing a dang good job down there. But,
Thank you very much. I'll let Trustee Sutton know that.
Okay, the last thing, Marcia, I just want to say on behalf of the board, thank you very much for hosting us again. It's always a pleasure to come up to Pioneer and see the work you guys are doing, and thanks to your culinary group again for their treats. It was always nice, so just want to say officially, we really enjoy coming up here and thank you for your hospitality. Yeah. Have a great day. Okay, I think we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Criswell.
Second.
Second, McIntyre.
All those in favor of adjournment? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And thank you to all the faculty and deans and so on who showed up today.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming up to Pioneer and sharing with us and giving us reports. And Cheryl and Risla, always thank you for the work you guys do. And everybody have a great afternoon and see you in November. Don't forget the food.
Thank you.